Hello and welcome to another WolfWare review. I'm Sam and I'm here with Halo 5 Guardians, the newest iteration of the long-running first-person shooter series. As is the standard for my game reviews, this review will be split into a few parts: gameplay, graphics, sound, story, and a conclusion. And oftentimes I will have an extra stuff section for things that may not have to do with the game directly. With all that being said, let's get this show on the road. Halo 5, you're thrust into the roles of the two main characters, the familiar Spartan 117 himself, Master Chief, and a somewhat new Spartan 4, Jameson Locke. When you're playing as these two, you will always be with their teams, Blue Team for the Master Chief and Fire Team Osiris for Locke. The basic premise for this game is that the Master Chief has gone AWOL and Fire Team Osiris has been tasked with finding him. Halo 5 makes some deviations from the standard Halo formula for gameplay. There is the Smart Link, a sort of aim-down sights type of action, and additional combat maneuverability with the boosts, and finally, added combat actions with the Spartan charges and ground pounds. This game is fun, incredibly fun even. It feels like a return to form for the Halo series in terms of gameplay. The campaign plays very well, and the multiplayer is fantastic. The breakout game mode is super competitive with quick time to kills and 2-minute rounds. Sort of like Counter-Strike, I suppose. Team Slayer and SWAT are also fun to play for hours on end, and what the main attraction for me was Warzone, the 12v12 sort of kind of MOBA kind of gameplay which has two teams competing for map control and for the kills of enemy bosses. This game mode is great to play and is where most of my time has gone thus far. After each game is over, whether it be in the arena modes or Warzone, you receive experience and rec points. These rec points can be spent on rec packs, which can give you armor, weapons, skins, helmets, stances, really any unlockable. They also give you weapons and vehicles that you can call in during Warzone. The rec system can seem a bit annoying sometimes, but it really isn't that bad. I'm not a big fan of microtransactions like these, but I feel like this has at least been executed properly, and sort of unobtrusively. The game isn't constantly telling you to buy rec packs, and you get minor ones when you level up, so not so bad. I do have other gripes about the game modes mentioned a little bit earlier though. The arena game mode seems to have an issue with spawn points at the time of this review. This mostly applies to the SWAT game mode, since that is really where you wouldn't want to spawn in the middle of a hail of gunfire. This is also a problem that I think has been voiced elsewhere many times, but the map rotation seems a bit fucked. Occasionally you'll get the same map 3 times in a row, which if that doesn't make you bored, nothing will. The next issue is with the amount of maps. I like all the maps, I really do, but not enough to play the same ones this many times. Within 3 days of purchasing the game, I feel like I've played every map. I feel like this is enhanced for me because Warzone only has 3 maps available right now. Since that is where I spend most of my time, and since it feels like it's the only place to get an appropriate amount of rec points, this feels like a damper on the whole situation. 343 Industries has said that they are going to release maps for free, so I'm very much looking forward to that as soon as possible. They have said the same thing about adding in game modes that aren't already present, which is good because the offerings in the game mode department feel pretty slim as of now. My final issue is a minor one, but one that can win and lose games. The boss fights in Warzone feel a little messed up. You can get a whole fire team going on some particularly tough bosses, and all it takes is for one person from the other team to get one lucky shot to take all the points from that boss and potentially win the game. Like I said, not that big a deal, but a bit annoying as things go. All in all, the gameplay is very well balanced, and every weapon has its strengths. Nothing feels useless this time around, and that in itself is a very refreshing feeling. I think I've said this before, but graphics aren't a huge sticking point for me. That being said, I like the way Halo 5 looks, and at a smooth 60 frames per second, it feels very nice on the eyes. The characters and the enemies look very nice, and the cutscenes are very well animated. All of the weapon models are good looking, which is good considering you're going to be looking at them through the entirety of your time playing the game. The voice work is very nice. I've always liked the voice acting in the Halo games, and this one does it very well too. I think there may be some issues in the script department, but I'll get to that in a little bit. The guns sound good, and I think the soundtrack is one of the best Halo soundtracks for a while. Tell me how you guys feel about it, since I'm not too big a sound guy either. Listen, I like the story, I do. I'm telling you this now because I feel like some of my critiques may come off a bit harsh. This section may be spoiler heavy. Fair warning, skip to this time if you don't want to hear about stuff and/or things. This game has been advertised as the greatest hunt in gaming history. This is completely disregarded during the first few missions when you realize that you always already basically know where the Master Chief is. You're just looking for a way to get to him. There's one fistfight between Locke and the Master Chief, and that is the extent of their rivalry. You spend the rest of the game following and then trying to save the Master Chief. The Master Chief, by the way, who was so humanized by Halo 4's story that I started actually seeing him as a human character, seems to have lost all that. He's with his old team, Kelly, Linda, and Fred, and they provide some humanity every once in a while. But do you remember this line from Halo 4? That beautiful writing that makes a character so suddenly human seems to have disappeared completely. The Master Chief seems like a robot again, and I say this because he seems to blindly follow orders instead of ever once questioning shit. He sees a vision of Cortana, listens to it, goes where it tells him to go, proceeds to find her. She's alive, by the way. If you think the way I brought it up just now was abrupt, boy, would you be surprised by how it was written into the game. One line of dialogue, no build-up, no holy fuck you're alive, no human moment with the Master Chief, nothing. One line of dialogue and a I'll explain it when you get here, which the Master Chief never fucking questions. He goes okay and follows along. Even though he knows that it is something terrible, he doesn't demand an explanation. It was so infuriating when I realized it after beating the game. Did I mention that all of that is from the 3 missions that you actually play as Master Chief? You play as Locke for the majority of the game, which isn't a problem exactly because I like him and his team. With Locke's missions, you see snippets of the hunting that was supposed to have been going on. You question a couple civilians on a planet, which is pretty cool, but that is the only time something like that happens. During Locke's missions, you see a lot of the extended universe of Halo, colonies and alien homeworlds, which is interesting for someone like me who has a knowledge of the things that have been going on in the Halo universe for a while. But for a new player, I wouldn't understand why the colonies don't like the UNSC, and I certainly wouldn't understand the whole Sangeli civil war with the Arbiter. I like the way that they portray the differences between the Spartan 2s and 4s, one being bred since childhood and forced down these paths, and the other being regular soldiers who have heard of these super soldiers since they were children. Basically, I see the Spartan 4s as little kids who actually get to be the superheroes that they read about, whereas the Spartan 2s are calm and collected all the time. Those snippets are great. I think a couple of the more unfortunate bits are that Julim Dama, the leader of the Covenant Remnants, is killed in the first mission, very unceremoniously might I add, and we find Dr. Halsey, whom we haven't seen since Spartan Ops in Halo 4. She seems like a crazy person in this game, like her character was supposed to have a different purpose in the story than she ended up having. Right off the bat, when you interact with her for the first time, she seems to have a knowledge of the events that are taking and are going to take place that no one else has. How does she know Cortana is alive, in the domain, and preparing to take over the universe? Fuck you, that's how. Oh, by the way, Cortana is in the domain and trying to take the mantle of responsibility and claim it for the created, otherwise known as AIs. Once again, if you think the way I just explained it was rough, you should have seen the writing go belly up and gasping for air when it tried to explain it. The ending wasn't super great and was very much sequel bait, which I'm okay with, but there's a certain plot hole in the final mission that I can't wrap my head around. In the final mission, Locke is attempting to get the Master Chief out of a cryptum that Cortana has locked him in. Cortana is sending out the Guardians to go and start imposing law upon all life in the galaxy. When you save the Chief, you remove his cryptum from the grasp of the final Guardian to leave the planet, which is Cortana's. Her Guardian jumps into slipspace as she goes, no, and she disappears to somewhere else. Only plot hole I can think of? Why didn't she just jump right back and take him? Ugh. Then we get the final cutscene where we have Cortana chasing the UNSC Infinity, then a brief scene of the Master Chief and Locke landing a ship to meet the Arbiter, Halsey, and Spartan Palmer. Halsey half whispers, "It took you long enough," and there we have our ending. The legendary ending has Cortana humming as a halo ring begins to light up. I wonder what the fuck that means! Anyways, I like the story. I just think that next time they need a different writer. I liked all the lore stuff, but it is never explained to the benefit of someone new to the franchise. If I didn't already know what some of this stuff was, I would be asking, what's a cryptum? What's the domain? Are those even real words? And why are the elites fighting each other? And I don't really like the advent of the AI versus human cliche. It just seems lazy. Apparently the writer for this was the writer for Spartan Ops for Halo 4, which kind of clears up any confusion as to why it may not have been on par with the writing of the previous Halo titles. I'm not one to judge writing so often, but good god, they need to pull something better with the next game, or the Halo universe may just fall on its face. With all that story stuff out of the way, I can talk about the community outreach that seems to have been ongoing since launch. 343 Industries seems like it's very quick to react to bugs and suggested changes, even going so far as to say that they have seen the backlash from the lack of split screen for this Halo and are considering it for the next one, which I think is pretty cool. Coming off the horrible launch and post-launch support of the Master Chief Collection, I think this is a good sign of things to come. I'll admit, I didn't know what I was getting myself into this time around. I've always liked Halo, but I wasn't sure of whether or not to pick this game up. But they got me, hook, line, and sinker. The campaign is fun, despite its numerous flaws, but the multiplayer is what shines through all the noise. The multiplayer is so well balanced and so fluid that I think I would be doing a disservice to the game if I didn't tell you that I can't put it down. I look forward to the map packs and future weapons and armor that will be released, and when they do get released, I hope I can put down Fallout 4 long enough to play it for a good long while again. From the battles of Sang Helios, to the bloody brawls of the arena, to the blood-soaked feels of the war zone, I can say that Halo 5 Guardian still feels like an impressive game. And if you like the looks of the gameplay, you'll probably enjoy the game itself. And if you do pick it up, I'll see you on the war zone. Hey, thanks for watching all the way through, I really appreciate it. If you like this review, check out some of our other software reviews, or our console review for the Nintendo GameCube. If the reviews aren't your particular cup of tea, try taking a listen to our opinion corner for Sony's future of gaming. You could also watch West Wednesdays, our sort of Let's Play deal. If you have any suggestions or anything of the sort, leave them in the comments below or send it to our email, WolfWareGaming@gmail.com. If you like our stuff, hit the like button so we know what you want to see more of, and throw us a subscription to get our content on a semi-regular basis. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next WolfWare review.